Hey everyone, my name is Nicole Conte and I'm the host of the Sweet Success podcast. I am joined today by Erica Wilson, who is a therapist at the Olive Branch Counseling Center, and Taylar Posey, who is a life coach at 4031 Life Coaching and Consulting. They are both here in Alabaster, Alabama, and they know what they're talking about, and they help me a lot, so I know they're helping you guys a lot. And we're talking all things mental health, whether it be your children, your teenagers, your husband, wives, ourselves as women. We're talking about it all, right?
Yeah.
And today we're going to focus on anxiety attacks specifically, because we've talked about anxiety a couple times and we all kind of know what anxiety is, but specifically anxiety attacks, talk to me about that.
Yeah. So an anxiety attack can happen out of nowhere. You can be fine. You can just be sitting watching a movie, and then out of nowhere, your body, what's happening is your nervous system inside your body sends an alert to your brain. It's almost like an alarm, and it's saying danger. When you are not in danger at all, but our bodies were created to have this thing called fight, flight, or freeze. And when that alert goes off in our brain, it is actually telling us we have to do one of those things: fight, flee, or freeze. And this was created, so go all the way back to like cavemen, if we have to go all the way back there.
All right.
They had to have that, because if they were truly being chased by a wild animal, they had to make a decision. Am I going to am I going to flee? And am I going to fight this? Am I going to flee it? Or am I going to freeze? And that was for survival mode.
Right.
We do not have to do that anymore. However, our brains were created to have that, to protect us. And so when the nervous system sends that signal to the brain that says you're in danger, you have to remind yourself, even if you have to say it out loud. Right now, I'm sitting, I feel a little anxious. My heart is racing. My hands are starting to shake. There's temperature change in my body. I can't catch my breath. But I'm not in danger. So if you tell yourself that and you look around the room, you say, okay, I'm sitting here with Nicole and Taylar. I realize, okay, there's a door there. I'm just sitting in a hard chair. So you are identifying what your surrounding is.
What's real.
Yes.
Right.
So you are identifying what's actually happening, because inside your brain, there's a fight going on for some reason. And there's not an answer as to why the anxiety attack came. Sometimes it's triggered by caffeine. Sometimes it's triggered by what you've done that day. Have you overworked? Are you overstimulated? Have you been overwhelmed throughout the week? Are you getting enough uninterrupted sleep? So there are a lot of different things that can cause it. Right. And it's been building, and then your nervous system says, wait a minute, Nicole, something's happening. We're in trouble.
Right.
And then that's where the attack comes. So it's definitely a nervous system thing, and it sounds so cliche to take that deep breath, and you have to be able to. And when you're in that moment, it's hard to, when you're actually in the moment of an anxiety attack. But a deep breath is truly just through the nose with the diaphragm, holding it for a couple of seconds, and then blowing it all the way across the room. And what that is actually doing is calming your nervous system back down to get back to a reality of, okay, I'm just sitting here. Like, I am not in danger. My brain is just telling me I am. And that's the scary thing. And that's why people who do suffer from anxiety attacks, maybe it's a one-time thing, or maybe they have an anxiety disorder. But that's what's happening, and that's why it's so scary, is because sometimes people can't put a finger on it. For me, you talked about how we help you sometimes. None of us, we aren't perfect. We struggle with our own things, all of us, and we've shared with each other and with you guys that are listening. But for me, a trigger is caffeine. And caffeine has been known to be a leading factor of some anxiety. If if you track how much caffeine you take.
That's just not right.
Did I just ruin it for you?
It's not
Just
right.
very upset about this.
I know. It's true. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, I feel the same way, especially with the caffeine. If we really took the time to, like, not have caffeine for a certain amount of time and, like, even journal or write down, how your body feels. There are days where I can feel myself, like, have more energy, but I can also feel that sometimes I get more anxious when I'm drinking my coffee or when I'm having. So I've even noticed that. Now, have I totally stopped doing it? No. But there are days where I have noticed, like, I'm starting to feel a little bit anxious. I wonder if it is the coffee. And it makes your blood pressure go up. I learned that too, like right before I go to the doctor, not to have just like drank a Diet Coke or caffeine, because it does make your blood pressure spike. So even though we feel like we need it to give us energy, and again, that's just one example of something that I know a lot of people intake, including myself, that might give us anxiety and we don't know where it comes from. But that's a big one.
Yeah, you'll notice too, you speaking, like sometimes you'll notice it. You're like, gosh, I'm a little more jittery today.
Right.
Or my heart's racing a little bit more today. And
Yep.
if you think about it, for me, if I drink Mountain Dew is my drink of choice, but I know not to drink a lot of it. So I'll get like the mini cans of Mountain Dew, and I won't drink the whole thing because I know it's a trigger for me. And I will know immediately if I have felt a little more anxious that day. For me, it's because I knew there was some sort of intake of caffeine for me. And for other people, caffeine doesn't trigger them at all for anxiety. But there's another thing that I should have added to the nervous system and the fight, flight, or freeze. But what's happening when your body has those anxiety symptoms is the adrenaline that comes with it. It spikes sky high, which is why the heart races, which is why the body shakes. But that's because, again, if we go all the way back to the cavemen, they're having to make a choice to run for their life, for survival, which is not, again, something we have to do because we're sitting still when we're having an anxiety attack. So when the adrenaline spikes up and then our heart rate spikes up and the body temperature changes, again, it's that alert, it's that false alarm. That's what I'll call it. It's a false alarm, and we can talk ourselves down from an anxiety, the symptoms of anxiety and an anxiety attack, which I think we'll get to in a little bit as far as some tips and tricks. But it's the adrenaline. It spikes up sky high, and then it's hard to come back down from it for a little while.
So this is not something where I've been feeling anxious all day. I've felt it building. I've felt it coming. This can literally come out of nowhere, right?
Exactly right. Yep.
Which is why it's called an attack.
You don't know what's coming. Yeah.
Okay. And I did ask you to, we'll hit on this just a little bit. I told you that I had what I felt was an anxiety or panic attack in Carline one day. It came out of nowhere. The heart beating, the temperature, exhaustion afterwards. What is just quickly a difference between an anxiety attack or a panic attack? Is there a difference?
Yes. There are actually two different diagnoses as well.
Okay.
So there's an anxiety disorder and a panic disorder.
Okay.
Panic is for sure very similar symptoms. Panic doesn't come as often as anxiety attacks. Anxiety attacks can come, they're not supposed to, but they come more often than a panic attack.
Right.
Panic attacks are very doom and gloom. I am going to die. You have the attack come. Your tunnel vision goes to, I cannot rationalize anything that's happening in my life in this moment or these symptoms. I can't rationalize it at all to the point of I'm going to die.
Like you can't even see anything else around you.
Yeah,
It's just everything else kind of fades to the back.
Yeah, I mean the symptoms are heart racing, the elevation or the paleness that you can feel in your face, the temperature change, the shaking. But the difference is the thought pattern behind it is, again, it has come out of nowhere. But the thoughts are so irrational when you're having a panic attack that you cannot get yourself back to a place of, I'm okay. It is I am not okay. I need to go to the emergency room. I'm having a heart attack in this moment and I'm going to die. So that's the difference between the two. But symptom wise, they can almost mimic each other.
Right.
Okay. So when we're in that, right, and when we're in that anxiety attack, what are some practical ways that we can get out of it?
Yeah. Well, Erica mentioned it earlier too, the deep breathing, and it is hard when you're in that moment. I don't know that you're going to remember every single thing to do, but the deep breathing is one thing. We talked about visualization and just imagery, like if you imagine your favorite place. And that's one thing that I've talked about with a lot of adults and students that come to see me. And I even have a list that I give my clients of just ways to cope, like things that they can do to calm themselves, and then like a list of things that they can do as a distraction. And for my students, I give them a list and highlight things that they can do really at school, because a lot of anxiety comes from just the school day. One thing is taking a shower if you're at home. Well, you can't take a shower at school.
Right.
So I try to give them practical things of what can you do when you're in the classroom and you get overwhelmed, whether it's the deep breathing or, asking the teacher if you can go to the bathroom and, running cold water over your hands just to calm yourself down, or getting a sip of water. And just even if you're sitting at your desk, and this is for adults too, imagining like your favorite place to be, whether it's the beach or whether it's an activity you like to do. Maybe it's a sport that you play. You like to play basketball. So imagining yourself on the basketball court or whatever it is. Those are just some easy things. Like you don't have to have a fidget all the time, which fidgets do work, to play with something. But if you forget it at home and you don't have it, imagining something, you can do that anywhere you go. Or, getting up to go to the bathroom, you can pretty much do that anywhere.
We're all messing with our
fidgets.
messing
right with fidgets. Fidgets are a very, very good way just to get that nervous energy out.
Yeah.
But you got to remember to take it with you and use it.
Right.
Yeah.
I told Taylar this. I have my own imagery or a thought or visual when I'm feeling overwhelmed, or if it's been a long day at work, or if I do feel anxious. And it is actually, I can close my eyes and think my favorite thing of what I would want to do in that moment that I know would calm me down is laying in my bed, weighted blanket, candle. I love a weighted blanket, candles lit, Christmas lights, and my son beside me.
Yes.
So I can picture that, and my son, watching a movie. Okay, so something that simple.
That's calming.
Yes, that
relaxing.
Image, exactly that. Laying in my bed with a weighted blanket, with my son beside me, watching a movie, candles and Christmas lights. Like it's so specific, but it is what, if I can take myself there during an anxiety attack or having some sort of symptoms of maybe I feel anxious, this could turn into an anxiety attack, because I do want to add that symptoms of anxiety don't always turn into an anxiety attack.
That is right.
Mm-hmm. So if I feel myself going into a route of this could spiral or I could spiral, and if I could visualize that, that's my place to go. And it helps, especially before I get into that spiral of a full-blown anxiety attack, not panic.
Yeah. And I loved how we talked before about just recognizing things that are here. Like, I'm fine. I'm sitting at this table. My husband is beside me. And sometimes when I do feel that spiral coming, I will tell my husband too. I'll say, I'm feeling very anxious right now. Or my friend, just to let them know, like, this is what's going on. So then it's not becoming this inner turmoil of, I don't want to let someone else see it happening, right?
Yeah.
Letting them know this is happening.
That's so good. That is to be able to say, I'm feeling anxious, or I have felt a little more anxious and overwhelmed today. You know, letting your spouse know, letting your friend know. I think even you've come in before, and I have looked at Taylar and said, I've just felt really anxious today. And it is something within us, an unmet need somewhere that, again, it's within us that alarm system in our nervous system is wanting to go off. But like I said earlier, picturing where you are, stating what's going on, making sure you're reminding yourself, I'm safe. This is a false alarm. And then, another trick that we were talking about is that I was telling Taylor, another tip is actually laying on the floor. Your back on the floor, your legs against the wall. It's elevated above your heart. It's helping you feel the floor. It's grounding you. You feel the floor beneath you on your back. Your feet are elevated against the wall. It's somehow statistically been proven to help during an attack. But along with deep breathing and talking yourself back down.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're at work, that may not be a skill you can use.
Right.
But you can use the self-talk of, where am I? I am okay.
Yeah.
I am safe.
Use your visualization.
Your visuals, the deep breathing, really taking that deep breath in. And it may take a couple of times from the diaphragm through your nose, holding it for about 2 to 3 seconds, filling your lungs up really, really, really big, and then blowing it, actually visualizing blowing it across the room.
I just did it.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
you'll notice your shoulders will drop, your whole body will relax.
Do you feel relaxed, Nicole?
Very.
Yeah, it helps.
You want
No,
to
it really it does help.
Yeah, well, it's relaxing, and it's starting your nervous system to be able to self-regulate, because that is what our bodies are trying to do during an anxiety attack. Obviously, we don't want to sit in that anxiety attack.
Right.
So we will fidget. We will try to find something to do. We'll visualize something to get our mind off of it, because that's our way of eagerly trying to self-regulate out of that mood. But if we have these skills, the visualizations, the deep breathing, fidgets, laying on your back, feet above you, elevated.
If you're able to.
If you're able to.
Don't do it at your
not
office.
or in a restaurant, like if you're out and about, that would be weird. But it is something to try. Did we talk about muscle relaxation yet?
I don't think we talked about that one yet.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Tell me.
Yeah,
tell me about muscle relaxation.
It's actually a therapy, but we talked about it the other day, and Taylor's got some examples.
Tell me, Taylor.
Oh,
Don't
I do have an
gatekeep the
example
muscle.
for that. Okay, so, and I've even told clients this, especially, I tell kids this at school too. They always want to ball their fist up like they're going to fight.
It's clenching.
So if you clench it, but you also have to release it and let it go. Look at
I just did it. See, I just did it, and
But you can feel the tension.
You can feel the tension leave. It is relaxing.
it is, guys.
And we ladies tend to be tense in our shoulders a lot.
Yes.
And we wear our shoulders as earrings.
Yes.
Right now, I'm doing
Okay,
it.
then drop them.
Erica does that when she boxes.
You feel the
too.
difference?
Yes.
Yeah, I get in trouble a lot. When I'm boxing, my coach is like, "Why are you so tense?"
Nicole
Feels good, right?
I'm falling asleep over here, but yes.
Yeah, you do have to. One thing I learned, and it helps your posture too, but one thing I learned at the chiropractor is you do have to sit up straight and tall, roll your shoulders back and drop them. Let your arms just kind of hang gently. Make sure your fingers are just relaxed. But it helps your muscles. It helps you not be so tense and stressed. But if you're able to stay in tune with your body and realize how your body feels in those moments and relax yourself.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is it does take practice. You do actually have to do it. If your thing is a fidget, you can't leave your fidget at home. But so you have to make sure you have those tools that if you accidentally forgot your fidget that day, you've got your visualization, you can deep breathe, you can always do the muscle relaxation. So those are just a few tips and tricks that we have.
Well, and then
to
one I was
calm
thinking
yourself.
that if everybody wanted to practice like sitting straight up, and this is what you can do like everywhere you are.
Right.
You sit straight up, your feet are flat on the ground, your diaphragm is in, and then you make your shoulders go all the way down. You feel them, and then your hands are in your lap, and then you can take your deep breaths in. And this is something you can do at work, in the restaurant, and you're actually relaxing from head to toe. You have to, and you scan. It's called a body scan.
Yeah.
You scan from your head, like is my tongue at the roof of my mouth? if you drop your tongue to like just hang like in the middle of where it's supposed to sit, that's where we hold some of our tension. I know it sounds weird, but it's something that actually holds tension in our body and in our face.
Nicole
But you
is
have to relax
tickling me.
everything from head to toe. And then when you do that, there's another thing called tapping. And what you can do there is you can do that in a couple of different places. And I'll just quickly tell you a couple. So if you're in the position of sitting straight up, feet flat on the floor, you can gently tap your left foot, your right foot, your left foot, your right foot. Nobody notices this. They may think it's just a nervous tap that you're doing. But what that is doing is you're actually triggering your left side of your brain and your right side of your brain. And if you're in an anxious situation, you can do that. You can do it with your feet. You can do it on your hands on your knees. Some people, if you can actually visualize what I'm doing, in between your ring finger and your pinky, if you tap with your right index finger onto your left hand, in between your ring finger and your pinky, very slowly, where the tendon would be in between your knuckle.
So like on the front of your hand.
The front of your hand, like
Okay.
where it like not your palm, but the outside.
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, you say, "I'm okay." And that is actually sending another signal to your brain to relax your nervous system because it's a trigger point for your body. So these are just like very
Nice.
fun, easy
Practical.
tips and tricks that you can do
But you
during
have
an
to
attack.
do them.
You have to do them.
Yeah.
But the great thing is there are so many different ones that we've talked about. They're all practical. Maybe you can't lay on the floor, but you can sit up. You can do your skin. You can tap. You can
can do
have
your
your
breathing.
fidget. Yeah, breathing, visualization. There's so many great things. I would highly suggest maybe writing this down. Keep it in your car. Keep it somewhere that you can see it if you need to.
And
But-
find what works for you.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't have to do them all.
No.
Exactly.
Mine
But-
is visualization. If I can imagine a nice, quiet beach.
Yeah.
That's where I
You're
wanna be.
loving the beach.
She loves
I do
the
like
beach.
the beach.
I do too.
Yeah.
All right, girls, those were some really great tips. Thank you so much. We will have more to come on the Sweet Success podcast.
You have been listening to the Sweet Success Podcast with licensed therapist Erica Wilson and certified life coach Taylar Posey. If you have questions or topics you'd like to have addressed on an upcoming podcast, please message Erica on Facebook at the Olive Branch Counseling Center or Taylar on Facebook at 4031 Life Coaching and Consulting. Spell out 4031. For more information on Erica Wilson and all that she offers, visit theolivebranchcounselingcenter.com. And for more information about Taylar Posey and her services, visit 4031.org. Spell out 4031. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to our next time together. Please subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform.
This podcast is produced by yourpodcastnow.com. Let us produce a podcast for you.